So last week, before starting the club podcast, Joe, you dug me out because I was wearing a black T-shirt. I'm now wearing a white T-shirt. I was literally putting my T-shirt this morning and going, what would Joe want me in? And then I've turned up and both of you are wearing black T-shirts.
I'm still repping club, though.
That's pretty sick, that. What is that? So you Lyle and Scott?
This is under the radar Lyle and Scott club collab. So FIFA Manny, as he's better known now. Obviously, we worked with he's obviously the agent. His football club is under the radar, so we got involved with some of their training tops, and they were kind enough to gift us some of this.
That's nice.
Yeah, so sorry, it's a lovely white T-shirt, Flav.
We're just playing mind games.
Yeah, it feels like that. I'm just reeling.
Just a power play.
Never mind all this nonsense, Joe. I think the decision's been made, hasn't it? What rating did you give Xavi Simons?
Oh yeah.
So Xavi Simons currently is penciled in at 84.
That's a disgrace.
You are a disgrace, Joe.
Yeah.
Same as Eze, which I think is more than fair, but it's subject to change as per a live. We're going live on the club TikTok right before the deadline and going through with some of our most loyal players to go through it. We've done it a few times before and they've changed rate. They were actually the ones that changed Verts from an 84 to an 85. So they might do the same with Simmons.
And when is this live happening?
It will be it'll be about 3:00. So if I see you guys,
I think I'm free
in the comments spamming Simmons 87, Simmons 87.
Joe, you know when it will actually change? You know when those ratings will actually change?
When?
Is when Ange Postecoglou takes Forest to the Emirates on Saturday and Eze has a stinker, just like he did for England, and Xavi Simons scores on his debut for Spurs against West Ham. That's when it's going to change.
Right.
That's when it's going to change.
I think that's a lovely segue into our first talking point in that Ange Postecoglou has been made manager of Nottingham Forest.
Bonkers.
Before we get into that and what that might do for the game and what it might do for Nottingham Forest as a football club, I think we need to talk about Nuno Espirito Santo and what that will do for Forest defenders in the game. Because it's fascinating. Because defensively sound, beautifully set up last season, and the shift to Ange Postecoglou cannot be more seismic. As both Ben and I are a fan of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, as people that listened to last week's episode probably gathered, and probably our strong arming of Joe into making Xavi Simons an 85 rated player when in actual fact he believes he's an 84, lends somewhat into that partisanship, but. We know that this is a massive shift, Ben, isn't it? From Santo, from Nuno to Postecoglou is gigantic.
Yeah, you couldn't probably find two managers on the opposite ends of the tactical spectrum to these two. It's a sea change, really. Like they were. It's funny, really, because the two names that kind of first initially got bounded around last night were Ange, and Ange was linked to the job. Before the international break as well, when it kind of felt like it first was going to blow up at Forest before that Palace game. And also Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho was quite heavily linked as well. And it was like, those are two, again, in terms of your two potential targets, you couldn't get two more different managers stylistically. I think Forest, what it does show is that Forest and Marinakis have the ambition to win. And is a winning manager. He's done that everywhere that he has been, and maybe there's not as much emphasis on style, but it will have an impact on the players at the club for sure. I do think there's a lot of players actually, and we'll probably come on and speak about those separately, that could thrive under Ange at Forest. When you actually kind of look through the squad, I think there's a few players that are built for the way that he might want to play if we're basing it off how he played at Tottenham for the most part in the league. The one thing I would also say is that, to be fair to Ange, he did, in that Europa League run, to get the results over the line, he did actually show signs of adaptation. So there might be a chance there for some of the defenders that you might not expect as much. So
the question there, though, is and we don't know the answer, even as Spurs fans, is what happened? Because that was an abandonment of Ange Ball, a complete abandonment. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, though that Frankfurt second leg is the game where it first started to kind of shift. I think obviously we were 1-1 from the first leg, where we played okay in that game and nearly kind of got over the line. But the second leg, where we went up early and kind of had a lead to hold on to, you definitely saw a seismic shift. And even against Bodo Glimt in the semi-final, there was a shift. And the final is a kind of a one-off game where you're probably more likely to see the manager maybe do something a little bit different to just win at all costs. But we definitely did see a shift. Whether that was kind of led by the players or led by the manager himself to kind of just get over the line, I don't know. I think a lot of people may believe that it was the players that kind of took that responsibility on themselves, given the fact that you're working under a manager that is incredibly dogmatic in his approach and kind of single-minded in terms of, and so strong on his philosophy and playing the way that he wants to play. We did see sort of slight alterations from season 1 to season 2 at the start anyway, but it was still about attacking, aggressive, gung-ho kind of football. So it's going to be fascinating to see what he actually does. It hurts from a Spurs fan's perspective that he's gone there because of the kind of like the saga that we've had in the summer. And if he went anywhere else, I'd definitely be giving him more good wishes. But I do think it's overall, if I can be objective about it, it's very good to see him back in the Premier League, I think. And I think it's going to be box office.
Straight
Joe,
up,
what do you think?
do you think they've both managed Spurs? What I don't even know if you guys think one was particularly better than the other. Obviously, in the league, neither were particularly successful. But just looking at them both as they are, who do you think is a better manager, Postecoglou or Espirito Santo?
That's a great question.
That is such a good question.
You would have to say.
I think you've got to say Ange. I do think you probably have to. It's so difficult. It's really difficult to judge Nuno's time at Tottenham as well because he when he came in,
His time at Tottenham, 100% Ange. But what he's done with Forest last season was a borderline miracle.
And what he did with Wolves as well. Although I would say is that this kind of does tend to happen with Nuno teams where they do kind of it does. I mean, it's burnt out a lot quicker at Forest, and that's not his fault. But I think a lot of people, even without the kind of soap opera drama of Marinakis' involvement, like a lot of fans were maybe predicting that Nuno would be gone this season, because Nuno kind of projects do tend to kind of burn out maybe a little bit quicker. That kind of did happen at Wolves over a time. Like he kind of took them to as far as he could go, and then they just massively kind of started to fall off a little bit. It's really hard. Like I don't think Nuno's ever won anything in his career other than the championship title, and just got titles everywhere he's been. But it's really difficult. I think
it's close because they're so different. They're like you said, they're polar opposites. So how do you even compare them? But like Premier League experience, obviously, and has had less time in the Premier League, so you can't. It's not even really fair to compare that. If you're just looking at them both face value as managers, saying who's a better manager, I think Nuno just edges it ahead of Ange, but I don't know what you two.
Well, as a Derby fan, does it bother you more that Ange Postecoglou is there than Nuno?
I really liked Nuno before he went to Forest, so I'm glad it sort of ended sour because I can now start to like Nuno again. Yeah, and I liked Ange, and now he's gone to Forest, so now I'll be hate watching Ange.
Nuno's reputation took a hit by joining Tottenham. It did. And it wasn't the right time for him to join Spurs. It was we were in a mess at that situation, and we've been looking for a manager for about 10 weeks, 11 weeks, and haven't been able to find him, and then settled on Nuno. So I think that's unfair to judge him. His work at Wolves and his work at even in Saudi as well, he did a good job there.
I've got Wolves fans who love him, who like still worship him and would have him back in a heartbeat, like over their current manager who's like also looked at as quite a high level manager.
Yeah, Pereira's a good manager. Yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah, they love it. I think Spurs fans, when he was at Spurs, we kind of just felt sorry for him in a way. That's certainly how I felt. It was so
a dead man walking before he even arrived. It felt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was probably about 10th on the list, maybe even less. And we've gone through, like Flav said, we initially started the summer by trying and failing to get Conte, and then we went through so many managers: Nagelsmann,
Tuchel,
Gattuso.
Say no to Gattuso was a hashtag.
That was a trend. And then we ended up with Nuno, who said he was going to make us so proud, and unfortunately he didn't. But that's a really tough question.
Manager of the season, manager of the month in his first month at Tottenham, and the first 2 months of Postecoglou's reign, he was manager of Tottenham as well.
First three, three on the bounce.
Jeez. And then it all went very much tits up. So in terms of club, though, Joe, you've got to be worried if you own players potentially like Murillo and Milenkovic.
It's Forest defenders that are taking a massive hit. I mean, Nico Williams, the fullback, he's like been 78 for forever, and everyone's been dying for him to get an upgrade, and he probably deserves it for his just body of work over the last season. Maybe not the start of this season, but every Forest defender I think started as like a lower rated defender in club at the start of last season. All cores, all 78, 79 rated, all of them. Milenkovic, Murillo, particularly Aina, all got upgrades to rares, at least 80, 81 rated, because of, like you say, Nuno style, kept a lot of clean sheets. Aina obviously pitching in with the attacking output as well, but definitely from a club perspective, maybe not rating downgrades straight away, but if the clean sheets dry up, as we all expect them to do with a Postecoglou team and defence,
Yes,
Yeah.
I imagine as an owner, you're quite worried about Forest defenders.
I'd be worried about centre backs. I really
Yeah.
would. Fullbacks, interestingly, might actually get a bit of a buff because they play so far forward.
Zinchenko is perfect for Ange Ball.
Yeah,
Like I didn't even. I was doing a podcast the day after the transfer window closed. I didn't even know that happened, and now
Zinchenko.
he's going to Forest. I didn't even see it on deadline day.
Yeah.
And then he's, when you think about how, like, especially in the first season, Udogie was kind of used inverting a lot. Think about when Zinchenko played his best football at Arsenal and at Man City as well. Like, if you can get him on the ball in the final third in kind of central areas, like, Zinchenko is definitely someone I think to kind of look at. Yeah, Aina as well. It's really interesting. Like, I do think Milenkovic is probably the one. I know, obviously, when you're kind of thinking about it through a club lens, like, obviously, if they're shipping in, if they're letting in goals, it doesn't necessarily matter so much about the individuals, kind of about the collective, in terms of who suits the profile more. If they're conceding goals, that's a problem for you, right? As an owner. But it definitely feels like Milenkovic is one of the ones that might even be kind of not like suffer just in terms of on the pitch, but also might be cast aside a little bit over time because he doesn't feel like an Ange kind of defender at all. But who knows? Like, it.
What is an Ange defender? I don't know. I mean, all I can think is Mickey van der Ven because he was fast. That's the only thing.
And maybe Murillo might thrive a little bit through that as well. He's slightly quicker than Milenkovic, but it's going to be them playing that high line. It's going to be so. I'm fascinated to see. They've literally just announced him, by the way.
That's right.
I thought they were going to use the line. The third season's always better than the second one, but they haven't. They've gone with a more professional approach. Which
That's not like Forest Twitter either. Forest Twitter.
I was going to say.
Has had some slander over there, how they worded some stuff in the past. So yeah, like I say,
it's everyone's most hated club now. We're all on board with how Derby have felt about them.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody hates Forest.
Yeah, they've done a great job. They've done a great job of like making the entire Premier League like dislike them as a club.
Yeah, they're the Millwall of the Premier League.
Very quickly. Indeed.
Obviously, you've got the midfield and forward line who scoring goals was never an issue for Tottenham last year. And Murray Hutchinson, Chris Wood, Hudson-Odoi, these are and obviously a midfield, an excellent midfield. I know Douglas Luiz hasn't started a game yet, but he should under Ange.
Are you purposely avoiding saying Gibbs White, going for all Forest attackers and midfielders?
He will do very well in an Ange system if it works.
So will Elliot Anderson. Both of them two, I think, will be fantastic for Ange if they can if it does start clicking. And you kind of mentioned it there, Flav, as well. Like, one of the things that for so long Spurs fans were kind of we believed that Ange really needed was like a 1v1 dribbly winger. It was a conversation for like so long amongst our fan base. Hudson-Odoi is someone that Spurs actually looked at, I think, before deciding to re-sign Timo Werner on another loan or whatever we did.
Expect Timo Werner, by the way.
Yeah, in January, just to bolster the squad a little bit. Hudson-Odoi, I think, is someone that could absolutely thrive, but also Bakwa, the young winger they've just brought in from Strasbourg, actually. He was someone that I think was on Spurs' radar for a while. Very young, quite raw, but in terms of profile, like for what Ange wants his wingers to do, especially with the Europa League as well, like the amount of minutes that are going to kind of need to be shared around. And that's one thing I would say as well. Like, it might be difficult with club in terms of selection of teams, because I think that Ange has got more depth at Forest than he would have had at Spurs in terms of being able to compete on both fronts. So when you're kind of trying to sign players or trying to put your team together, it might be quite different. It might be almost a little bit like, you know how people bemoaned for so long, like Pep Roulette, what's he going to do in terms of rotation? Ange has never had this kind of depth. You look at the amount of players that Forest signed in the summer. There's so many players there. So it's going to be interesting to see how consistently he picks the same team and how players might suffer as a result of that, maybe.
I bet you Forest fans would take finishing 17th and winning that
Oh,
Europa
100%. Yeah.
League. Like
We did.
Yeah,
I would have.
I'll do it again.
Yeah, do it now.
I'll do it again.
exactly, and like maybe that's why maybe they've seen it and just gone do what you did last season. That's what we want.
I would be say if any Nottingham Forest fans are listening to this, I would say that there is absolutely no guarantee that you're going to win the Europa League. Also, if there are any club owners out there who are worried about Nottingham Forest players scoring points, the forwards will be fine. The fullbacks will probably be fine if that they have to do a lot in their positions when they invert or if they go around, because it wasn't always an inverted fullback system with Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah.
But the problem will be is, do you risk the fullbacks play, the points gained by them playing so much far forward and getting assists and goals and shots on goal and stuff, and will that be destroyed by the fact that you concede so many goals?
Striker situation is going to be really interesting as well in terms of club, probably, because naturally people might be going, oh yeah, defensively you might want to get the likes of Milinkovic or Murillo out your team, maybe, but what about Chris Wood? But they've also got options up front as well. Like, is Chris Wood going to do the run-in maybe that Ange wants from a number 9 in terms of the press-in? That was one of the reasons why we spent so big to bring Solanke to the club. They've brought in Arnaud Kalimawendo from a young French striker that Spurs were also looking at this summer. Quite good off the ball, slightly more energetic. They've also got Igor Jesus, the Brazilian striker they brought in from Botafogo as well, younger, slightly maybe a bit more energy. So I wouldn't necessarily just bank on Chris Wood either being like the guy.
If Chris Wood could, then Chris Wood would.
Yeah, but can Chris Wood run?
I don't think Chris Wood can. So it might be Igor. Yeah. So I mean, would you be concerned owning Forest players, Joe? What would your advice be?
No issue here with owning Forest players, as I reject every single one of them that money ever gives to me. So I don't have to deal with this problem. But to the thousands that have, and it's many thousands that have Nico Williams, like you say, in their starter team, Will Ange prefers Zinchenko. I genuinely think whenever there's a managerial change, every player you should really, really have a long think about.
So Nico Williams is a popular player in the game?
Because he's core and because he's so low rated, he's in a lot of starter squads. So people just end up keeping him in their starter squad all the way through. He was due for an upgrade, honestly. But like you say, new manager change. Will he prefer Zinchenko? Is he more his player? Will he get phased out? Will he move to left centre back of a 3 and have Zinchenko higher up? Who knows what Ange is going to do, honestly.
Probably shouldn't have rejected him. Should I? I got rid of him pretty sharpish.
I was going to say, I think he come up in mine as well.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I think if you're new to the club, then maybe don't reject him, because Grealish as well. Got Grealish early and I dumped him out.
Grealish was at the start, after week 2, we did a post. Grealish was, you get, every club owner gets a rare forward in their starter squads between that's either 80 or 81 rated. And Grealish was the most rejected starter rare out of any of them at the start of the season after 2 weeks, because obviously just before the second week, obviously because
he didn't start
0 game time, and now he's in the second most squads behind Brennan Johnson for getting for those starter players.
Doesn't that just show you how little everybody knows about football?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they know what they're talking about. I've made a career out of it and I know nothing. It's ridiculous, the amount of people that will be listening to this, really. Like, why? There is no value in listening to my opinion at all, but I have so many of them and I'll never stop.
It's the beauty of football.
It is. Michael Owen this week was in the press. I think his stock might have gone up a little bit since the interview.
Yeah. 100%.
We all agreed?
Yeah, I agree.
Fascinating, man.
Weird, because no one backs Michael Owen. No one bats for him.
The arrogance looks good on him. Dare I say it? Like this new sort of swanky arrogance, him being unsure about himself, making like silly remarks that are obviously true. That's in the past with him now. He's just like this swanky, arrogant, I'm the man. Is kind of working for him.
Weird. Because I was watching that, I was going, no, I'm not Michael Owen. And by the end, I'm like, I want more Michael Owen. Bloody give me more of him. But he did say he was the best. I don't know how old you would have been there, Joe, but or you, Ben, actually. Do you remember Michael Owen as a
I
17-year-old?
don't remember prime Michael Owen at all.
No.
Not really.
Hang on.
That's my dog.
Right, we can't just.
That's what.
What do you want us to sweep over that, Ben?
Yeah, I'm sorry. He was just. I've got my family dog staying over for a few days, and he gets a bit. It's when he thinks someone's outside. I don't know whether it was postman or whatever, but he's
Yeah,
gone.
that happens again, Ben. Then you're out.
He's gone. He's gone. It's right.
He's
just
gone.
walked out.
You're gone.
He's only like this big. Leave him alone.
Sorry.
Do I remember Michael Owen at his prime? He not yet. It was just a little bit before my time. I vividly remember though. Like I remember him doing. Was it his metatarsal or something against Spurs? On like it was in a World Cup year. It was like on New Year's Day or so. I remember Paul Robinson coming out and clattering him.
Would have been more likely some sort of thigh or muscle injury. I don't remember metatarsal.
Maybe
you might be right.
Maybe I'm getting confused with when Rooney did his metatarsal just for the World Cup. But I definitely remember that, and I remember that kind of being one of the injuries that really sort of started maybe his decline. It's just after he came back from Real Madrid and he went to Newcastle.
No, the injuries happened before then, mate. It was his injuries.
Oh yeah,
I think he suffered his first hamstring injury before he went to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And the problem is, so let me tell you. I'll tell you about him as a 17, 18-year-old kid. We have never and probably will never see the like again. He was sensational. I remember I was about 16, 17, 8 years old. 98 World Cup against Argentina, and you're just waiting for him to come on. Just get this kid on, get him on. And he's, like I say, 17, 18 years old. And we all know the famous goal where he picked the ball up and ran through the Argent. He made that look like it was such an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
He scored that goal and that launched him. He then became Golden Boot winner twice in 17 and 18 years of age. He's right in saying he's the best teenager to ever played in the Premier League, without question. And that includes, best striker, because Wayne Rooney, you could argue, might have been a better footballer. I mean, you would argue that.
Yeah.
But as a breakout star at his age, it was just unheard of. He was 17, he looked like a boy, and he was unplayable.
Well, what did he say? He said in that interview, didn't he? He was like, no one will ever do what I did. He pointed.
Right there.
It was like the biggest flex. He pointed. The Ballon d'Or was on the table. He pointed to that and was like, yeah, that's great. But nobody is ever going to do what I did and win back-to-back golden boots at 17 and 18. I was like, you're goddamn right. I was like, no one's going to break that. I was just like, he's talking about the Ballon d'Or as if it's kind of just like, yeah, forget that. Like, forget that. But yeah, no, you are right with injuries. I just kind of remember that almost being like, he definitely, obviously I was a little bit too young, but that kind of really, I remember him getting that one, and that kind of really started his decline, I guess. Like, that's how I remember it.
He was so good that you couldn't leave him out, but he probably played too much football at a young age.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like, if you're good enough, you're old enough, I suppose. And he was obviously a freak. No.
At 18, you're not a man. You're not a, I would say, how old are you, Ben?
27.
I'm not sure you're a man.
Really?
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, okay.
So with Michael Owen at 17 playing men's football, it would have put strain on his body that he probably wasn't ready for, and he needed to be protected. But he was too good to leave out.
Yeah. Would you say that, as someone who kind of lived more through that time as well, that was definitely way more rare as well than it is now, right? Because you look at the amount of I don't think we've ever seen this much, and I'm just talking about in my life. Like, I don't think we've ever seen this much kind of teenage young talent in world football, all playing at such a high level at the same time.
You think like Yamal, and who else you think about?
Yamal, and then if you look at the Prem, like Waneri, all those kind of players, like
Coleman, 15.
Yeah, him. Like, who's it? Kabasi, the centre back at Barcelona as well. Desiree Doué as well, still a teenager. Like, there's always been obviously a few young players that will kind of break through and do something big, but it feels like we're living in an era where it's far more like. And the problem with it as well, and we've kind of seen this maybe a bit firsthand with our fan base, Flav, in terms of like some of the younger players we've got, is that it does, having that many players that are kind of in the spotlight that young does warp people's perceptions maybe a little bit of how good a youngster should be at that age. Like, it's kind of changed maybe. I don't know how you feel, Joe, but like, it definitely feels like you see a kid coming off the bench now, maybe there's a little bit of hype around him. And also because of social media, it's changed, and there's maybe more access to some of the clips of them doing things in training or playing for the under 21s or under 18s. Those games are a lot more readily available now. So you're seeing a lot more of these kids, whereas before maybe these kids would just kind of come out of nowhere and you didn't really know how good they were. And they just did it, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. Whereas now there's maybe more pressure. I don't know. It feels like not only are there more, but it's also changed expectations and kind of changed the landscape a bit of football.
Yeah, like totally. The only slight comparison for for my generation and the younger generation to Michael Owen is maybe Mbappe at like winning Monaco Liga at like 17, 18, winning the World Cup at 18, 19, like
Yeah.
being the guy. That's the sort of closest bit. Like everyone would have put good money on Mbappe winning at least one Ballon d'Or when he was like 18, 19, winning Ligas and World Cups, being the man as well in those teams that got them there. Like that's maybe the closest comparison from what people have told me that the younger generation can relate to. I do agree with the whole sentiment that Michael Owen was saying, that whilst there are more teenagers now with more pressure on them because of social media, there's not many to the level, particularly in the Premier League, that anywhere near the level that they were, that Rooney was. Like,
Especially in that position as well. Like that is where there is the most amount of pressure. You know, you're the one that has to bang the goals in. That's the hardest. He said it in the. That was another kind of funny clip from the interview, wasn't it? Where he was like, essentially
house.
defending's easy. It's much easier to create. It was like, I couldn't build this house, but I could knock it down.
Yeah,
And it was just like, you know what? You're like, yeah, I get. I'm with you. Like, and it's like when again, you'll remember better, Flav, but like in that era, there were a plethora of like amazing strikers, and he won a Ballon d'Or over who would it have been like R9, Batistuta in that era? Would Batistuta have kind of been doing his thing then, or was it a bit later? Or
what year was it?
he won a Ballon d'Or, I think in well, he burst through in like it was like 97, 98, I think, wasn't it? When did he win his?
Season, but yeah,
2001. He won the Ballon d'Or, so he would have been like, I don't know how old he would have been then, but.
I mean, yeah, loads of good players. I can't remember who he was up against. Batistuta probably. R9 would have been around at that stage. But yeah, no one was doing what he was doing at that age, and that's what made it so unique.
And genuinely, like, who do you think the best teenager is in the Premier League right now? Not like under 21, 20, like best teenager, like because it's a lot of the Arsenal boys that I don't think any of you are like. Is it Ranieri? Is it Lewis Skelly? I feel like they're like. Are you guys going to throw Bergveld in there as the best teenager?
I think he'd genuinely be up there. I think he just needs the kind of rhythm and the game time. Like I think even like Tyler Dibbling coming back into the Premier League, I know he's slightly on the older side of the teenage years, but he's definitely up there for me in terms of talent. But I think you'd probably have to look at one of the Arsenal lads, as much as it pains me to say it.
Estavo,
Like,
Chelsea.
Yeah. I would probably put like Ranieri or Lewis Skelly maybe above them, just because we've seen them do it for like a year or so now. And I think that's one thing as well. It's just like what must be nice for Arsenal fans is that they're also academy kids. And I think as well to kind of to have been given that pathway through to the first team, when you think about how competitive that squad is as well, and the chances that they're kind of getting, even though like to the point actually where now some Arsenal fans are kind of bemoaning the lack of minutes that Ranieri is getting. Like, and the fact that this is a kid that wasn't even being brought on in Champions League semi-finals against PSG when they were craving a goal. That's how highly they rate this kid. So I'd probably, in terms of teenager, in terms of talent, I'd probably say Ranieri. Or overall talent, I'd probably say Esteval, yeah, but we haven't seen quite enough yet, I don't think. But he's a joke.
I mean, and this is more to my point in terms of like forcing Ranieri through and when they're playing at this age, they need to be protected, and the expectation goes through the roof. You look, Rashford at one time has been touted as one of the very best players in Europe, but if it's too much too young, there's forces outside of what you can do on a football pitch that could dictate how your career goes. Boys, I want to talk to you about some of the big signings late into the transfer window, and obviously it has a relevance to club because how quickly are these players going to be starting for their respective teams? What competition exists within the club currently? And I also want to talk about Florian Wirtz. So let's start with Wirtz because he hasn't set the world on fire. He has been rated, what was it? What did you say?
85.
85. What, for one good season? This is my favourite bit, is where we attack Joe.
Yeah.
For absolutely no reason. One good season he's had in Germany, which we know is a substandard league.
Yeah.
Because Sesko's come out and go, God, it's bloody hard in the Premier League, isn't it? He's come out and said that. And do you know what happened? There's loads of Liverpool fans in the comments when you're doing your live shows, or when you're doing your live streams, and they go, no, we want him to be higher. want him to be higher. That's what's happening. You're bending to the whim of the masses here,
Hold on a
Joe.
minute. Am
I
I
agree.
going?
And
What league has Xavi Simons been doing it in? That
Don't worry about Xavi Simons.
must come into the
He's
club
done
at
it.
87 rated.
He's done it in a few, mate.
He's done it in France. He's done it in
Spain when he was 12.
done it for Holland.
Yeah,
Holland.
okay.
Done it in a Euro semi-final, shoving Declan Rice off the ball.
Yeah,
What time was that live stream later again, Joe?
3 o'clock.
And how can we find it? How can we find it?
No, I genuinely, like I said at the start, I had Verts at an 84, maybe even 83. I'm one of them. You've got to prove it at the top level.
Fair play.
I was convinced by the club mafia that he should be level. Like those guys were saying, he should be level with Cole Palmer at 87. So we found him a sort of
get carried away.
Neutral ground at 85. But hasn't had a good half against Arsenal. That because he's been so mediocre every other half since coming to the Premier League, everyone thinks is amazing, but Verts definitely.
Given how much of your salary he's taken up in clubs, and if you pack him from Manny, you've got to seriously consider rejecting him because there's transfer coins to be had there as well.
Verts is a reject at 85 currently. Maybe depending on fixtures. I know they've got
Burnley this weekend, I think. Yeah,
but even just get him in on loan for a game and then see how he does, and then maybe look to. But I think he's reject. Save the transfer coins for
I'd
a
love
rainy
to know.
day.
Is this information readily available to you, Joe, or do you have to find out?
I can get Verts rejects.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Accepts.
It'd be interesting to while you do that, Joe, what do you think in terms of like a banker for? Oh, have you decided Isak's rating yet or not?
Isak's been 87 for obviously his time at Newcastle, but
so you just carry that over.
Yeah, he probably could do with an upgrade going to Liverpool. It's going to be so. Haaland's 90. So if Haaland's 90, where should Isak be in your guys' opinion? While I find this up, is he going to outscore? Is Isak going to outscore Haaland this season now that he's at Liverpool?
I think 87 is probably fair now
with a view
to potentially 88 to 89. I still think Haaland's the top dog. I don't think, unless Haaland, obviously, I mean, his rating will go down if he starts going on a barren streak, but he's never really done that. So, I don't know. I think 87 is a fair base, for now, for Isak.
And if he scores 10 in his first 15 for Liverpool, then you're starting to think, all right, well, this is really going to work out for them.
Yeah. I mean, that could be an absolute game changer. Where did we get to on Voltemada? And have we had any thoughts about Gyökeres's rating? Or
again, I can give you the provisional is what you guys suggested is 82. So the high end of the rare. Gyökeres is currently not on for a downgrade and is still 85 rated.
I don't know if you saw Ben's performance on the overlap this week, but he mentioned that. What you say?
I said that. They were talking about Gyökeres. We were doing hot takes, and the Arsenal fan said that Gyökeres will be the Premier League top goal scorer. To which I said that he looks like he plays in jeans. And Jamie Carragher and Paul Scholes found that tremendously funny. And I feel like we could be anticipating Carragher using that as a line in commentary at some point this season, which would be hilarious. But
the question here is if he looks like he plays in jeans, how can he be an 85? So we'll leave that with you, Joe.
Yeah, something to think about.
Only of every CO that's been offered Verts, I've done the maths, only 9% have rejected him. So he is firmly in the accept. I'm happy to have him camp.
Wow. Well, there you go. I would, at this age, probably reject him, but he no doubt will come good. So we talked, Voltemada, like you said, is an 8, but he's in the situation where they've also bought Visser at Newcastle. How do you think that plays out, Ben? What you're going to find a way of getting both in? We know Voltemada doesn't have to play as a 9; he can play as a 10. He's a very sort of unique type of player, as discussed last week. Visser, you feel like he's guaranteed 19 goals in the Premier League means he's got to start. So do you potentially reject Voltemada if you get the opportunity to?
I think you probably see a world in which Visser plays more minutes than him this season. I feel like Visser will kind of almost be the constant, and Voltemada will definitely get opportunities. I'm pretty sure is he their record signing? He must be their record signing, Newcastle.
It was around £64 million. A lot of people
Which
said
is more than Isak, so I think it probably is. So there is going to be maybe a bit of a pressure to get him on the team, but also you want to kind of let him develop. Is there a world in which they play together in certain games? I think probably yes. Like I do think that happens. I don't know if it happens every week. And I think if you were going to bank on one of them getting more minutes over the season, I think it probably would be Wissa. But it's fascinating to see how it plays out. They kind of feel like to me a little bit sort of similar, but also different horses for different courses. I think both of their link-up players are really good. Wissa had that ability to kind of drop deep, lay it off and spin. And he's so good on transition as well, which is what Eddie Howe's going to want. Voltemada is maybe a little bit more neat and tidy in and around the box, but also when you think about teams pressing onto Newcastle and exploiting the space, he's very good at playing players in as well. I don't know. I think it's going to. I'm really intrigued to see how it plays out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could say yet, but I want to see it. I want to see it. Like,
if you've got to choose one, though, you're choosing Wissa.
I'll probably choose Wissa. Yeah. Just for the fact the Premier League proven tax almost. Really.
Do you think both Voltemade and Wissa would have been better options for Arsenal than Gyökeres?
Now we're talking.
Do they look like they're playing in jeans? No.
Exactly.
Premier League experience, understanding of the league, for what they want as well. Arteta clearly wants the link up with he went for Havertz, so Wissa, like you say, Voltemade to an extent as well, probably fits that profile more of bringing his wingers into play. So do you genuinely think that both of them would have been a better option for Arsenal, particularly if you count in the money they spent as well?
I don't know if I can keep running this joke and how funny it is anymore. So I'm going to be honest and be sensible and answer your question properly and say that you can completely understand why Gyökeres is an Arsenal player. He costs less money than Voltemada, which tells you everything, really.
Yeah.
Serious hat on. Yes, if you like, Joe.
Okay.
You happy?
But I genuinely thought that would. I don't think it's as clear cut as that. Genuinely, could be purely because of how Arteta maybe wants to play with link up play from strikers. Is he?
Could you imagine the Arsenal's fan base reaction if they'd signed Voltemada instead of Gyökeres?
Oh my god, yeah. Do you reckon they'd be running around doing his celebration like they were for Gyökeres? I don't even know what Voltemada's celebration is.
Doesn't have one.
No, he's just too cool.
Probably should put that.
Yeah, that's quite good actually.
So obvious, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's that mean? My name begins with W. Oh, okay. Yeah. Any thoughts on Wissa and Voltemada, though, if you pack them, Joe?
I think both right now, considering they're probably both rares, both 81, 82 rated, not taking up the biggest salary cap, so it's not an issue unless you are Flav, with over 20 million over the salary cap already.
I wanted to talk about that, because I'm in trouble here, and I panic because I get players that I like, and I'm being packed, and I'm like, I'll show you. Look, this is where I'm at. I'm 5 million over and I'm just thinking I'll get that sorted. It's domestic. It's the break.
Yeah, that's at least a few. What is that? 2, 3 upgrades from your thing. That's at least a couple of hours, couple of days. Yeah.
I've got to get rid of all my subs, basically. But the problem I've got is I'm emotionally attached to Palhinha, Richarlison, and then Papsar. I don't want to have to just bin them. But I think managing the salary cap is
it's the big issue CEOs have.
Yeah, it's the lifeblood of the game. Anything else you want to talk about? Obviously, it's an international break, so news is of a premium, unless you're a Nottingham Forest fan. But
yeah,
the international break is, I found, only good for one thing, and it's bringing up old surface football debates that just every international break come back round, and you can just argue your case to the bitter end again during the international break. The one I had over this weekend was the best 3 English players in the Premier League at the minute, and there was
give us some options.
Well, my 3 were, and in order, my 3 were Palmer first, Saka second, and Eze third. And I actually think it might be Rice fourth. So I think Arsenal have got 3 of the top 4 best English players in the Premier League. Because looking at the rest of them, honestly,
that sounds like a good trophy. Good. Yeah. Enjoy that trophy, will they?
Gordon,
I'd rather have my Europa League.
Yeah, I would as well. Yeah, for the record.
Gordon, Gahey, genuinely, there's not.
Are we just forgetting about? I know he's had a bit of a difficult year, right? But Foden's got to be in this conversation in terms of best player, like in terms of talent.
Is Foden better than Eze right now?
Yeah. Maybe not right now, but he's a better player.
Like, I don't want to say this, but Eze, you can't like Declan Rice is
Rice is better. Rice is in that
clear,
top three.
He's clear of Eze, 100%.
Yeah,
Is Rice clear of Foden? As in, I know the complete different position. But
At
if you
this
were doing,
stage-
I'm not saying I wouldn't have Foden in my top three right now, but I do. I just think overall, in terms of like talent, I feel like it's just difficult. He's had no real minutes at the start of the season at City, has he? I don't think he's fit for whatever reason. I don't really know what's going on, but I don't think we can forget about him. But my top three would be Saka, Palmer, and Rice.
you'd have Saka first over Palmer because that was a big debate. Palmer versus Saka.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to, I'm going to say Cole Palmer's the best.
Yeah.
But Saka probably is the best.
Yeah.
I'd have it Palmer, Saka, Rice, maybe then. And then, like you say, Foden, it's such a weird one. Like, he didn't even really come up in conversation because of what's going on with it.
Significant drop off. But by the same token, like if you did pack him in the game, you'd have to think seriously about keeping him in.
He's the most rejected star by some margin, like from 86 above, like because of that salary cap increase. Like Foden is by far, I think second is Alisson because he's extremely high rated and a goalkeeper, and you can get lower rated goalkeepers like Pickford, like Raya, but Foden is the most rejected star, and I think that's just sums up where his career is probably at the minute. Do you see it continue? Do you think he needs a move? Like
someone had a tweet that went viral the other day. I think it was actually from an Everton fan who I know quite well on Twitter, and he said about Foden, he was like, "I'll see you in 2 years at Everton, buddy. We'll save you almost." And I was like, "Do you know what? I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Well, I do think I don't know what I haven't got a clue what it is with Foden. Really, I don't know.
Something's gone on. I mean, we've heard rumours that he had sort of like stomach issues similar to that of Darren Fletcher. You don't know if it's true or not. I have no idea, but there's been something gone on because the drop off. He was legitimately one of the best players in Europe. 18 months
I mean,
ago.
he was in the Saka Palmer. It was Saka Palmer Foden. Like that would have been
and he was winning. And he was winning them. I think
the trio argument.
Like, he was winning that debate
for the Euros. I was literally. I would have had no issue. Like I would have had no issue with him starting over Saka on the right, and that obviously with a Spurs bias.
Yeah,
but now you're like, it's just a drop off has been. But again, like it's like, was it too much too soon for him?
Yeah, it's weird as well because I think a lot of like the media conversation around Foden almost hasn't helped a little bit. As well, in a way, like I remember on the overlap on the stick to football where Gary Neville was kind of saying he's still the guy that you almost like build around, and he got massively shot down for it, and it kind of that made Foden's stock fall through even further in terms of like kicking him while he was down. It was a bit of probably a naive thing to say from Neville in terms of where Foden was at the time, but like I do think we need to still appreciate his talent. Like he was the Premier League Player of the Year 2 years ago, or like 2 seasons ago. I don't know. He's just I don't know. I also think that like I remember during that Euros where he wasn't performing awfully. Like it wasn't great, but like I feel like his performances were being exaggerated to a level where then you get those kind of tribalistic conversations that come in about who's better and all that kind of stuff. And then when Foden did have a good game, like against Holland, for example, then people get accused of like overhype. He's just such a victim of this conversation that exists around him, I think, a little bit. But he also has to do more to
the Everton
get back in the team.
The Everton thing's super interesting, right? Because if he can get, like, we've seen it with Grealish already. Like, Grealish was out of the conversations. Grealish was also, like, if you remember tournaments gone by, in that conversation, he has to be the star. He is the man. He is the man that's going to win us this tournament. He's the star. Like, he had that at one point. That completely fell off. And now going to Everton, like, he might find that again. And he's doing a wonderful job at the minute of putting himself back on that map and back in the conversations. And if Foden can go to a club, and it doesn't have to be Everton, right? But if Foden can go to a club and get sort of near that turnaround that Grealish has had early on, or he might do it at City and get the runtime at City and do it at the highest level. But if he can get that turnaround similar to Grealish, then he will no doubt be back in those conversations because, like you say, raw quality alone, like technical ability, he is probably the number one out of Palmer or Saka, but he's got to get there, hasn't he?
Do you think if every club was offered the chance to sign in the Premier League was offered the chance to sign Phil Foden, they would do it? Like outside of Man City, obviously. I mean, it's a stupid question because there'll be a hell of a lot of clubs that would. But like, if you're talking the teams that are maybe on the fringes of the top four, like Tottenham, Villa, Newcastle, those kind of sides, and like even like Chelsea and Arsenal, they would sign him, I think, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think every club would, and I don't think Manchester City would be willing to let him go. Really, I think they're hoping to get it right. But have you downgraded him in the last?
No, he's stayed at 86. I imagine this time he probably will. With during this international break, we're going through the rating changes and adding the new players. I imagine Foden, because we do it. Obviously, it's half based on opinion. Like the team get together, it's half based on the club members as well, but it's also dependent on form and their actual point scoring. Like if their point scoring falls dramatically short of their level, they will just get that downgrading club. And he's honestly been on a bit of borrowed time at the minute for his downgrade. So I imagine Foden will. And you also look rejects count onto it as well. Like we'll go through and look at how many people are rejecting him for his level versus accepting him. Like everything is pointing towards Foden getting a downgrade.
Get him down. They've got to earn it. In my opinion. Right, this has been another episode of the Club. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much, Ben Bowman. If you haven't already, download the game and get involved. And I think maybe we should start a club podcast league.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys don't. I started to beat the admin league as the admin of club, and I'm currently 11th out of like 500 in it. So Flav, after seeing your salary cap, I think I would be happy to enter that league.
Oh, right. Well, this is, I mean, look, because you've only had like 3 years playing the game, so it's not like I'm not expecting to go in and beat you, Joe. It's a bit of fun, mate. It's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's like a game developer, like the FIFA game developer. Do you want to give me a game? It's like, not really, no.
That isn't fun, is it? We're just trying to, getting people involved, Joe. And Joe's like, I'll get you involved. I'm going to smash you. I'm going to smash you. I can't wait. I'm going to smash you. That's not the attitude, Joe.
Yeah. Sorry.
You should be aiming for the top, like punch up. Don't look at the 10 people above you. Don't look at the 409 below you.
What is your salary cap, just out of curiosity?
Pardon?
What is your salary cap?
So in club currently, in the admin's team, I'm currently 32.6 million out of 32 million. So I'm 0.6 over, but that can get sorted before the game week.
I'm currently 6.3 million over. Is that a lot, Joe?
It's genuinely like we've seen some like 20, 30 million over, but like 6 million isn't savable before the next game week. That's really
I am going to have to let some players go. It's really annoying. Okay, and then they may have to be Spurs players. Thank you, boys.
See you, mate.
See ya.